Well, here we are again on Friday. Is everybody happy? Hey, Rob's neighbor. Let me let me do this Rob's neighbor. Hey, we got an who's that? TX Biking from Norway. Well, happy to see anybody today. We had a big storm yesterday. Yesterday was a big storm here. We had hail and some of it as big as a quarter. Oh, I'm so sorry. My condolences to you. Ah, it's in my part of the world. It's right now noon. It's that's my train you're hearing. Um, I hope that you had many years with your father. Um, my dad lasted for 66 years. Um, he was a coal miner, and unfortunately, um, black lung and things of that nature took him out. Um, Carrie, how's things going with you? If you notice, Carrie, I've got my soundboard hooked back up. Oh, so loud. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Um, yes, I hooked my soundboard back up. Trying to work out. Let me know is the audio okay on that end because the reason I took the soundboard down before the audio wasn't very good. It kept having a lot of echo in it. Oh, 77 years. Well, of course, life was a little different for my dad. You know, he was born, he went to work when he was, I think, 12 years old in the mines. So he mined coal for his life, most of all of his life. And it was really, really hard on him. Oh, so you're saying the audio sounds good? Well, let me see. Maybe we can fix that a little bit here. This is what old Mac normally sounds like right here. Yeah. Yeah. Grouchy, just an old man. Old father time here talking to you. Oh, I get to play on my soundboard again. Let me let me slap myself. uh, oh, there's my little the, the girl that used to have a lot of hair, my Hawaiian babe. You know, not everybody can do the ball thing. You got a really nice head. I mean, you can go any direction you want to. I mean, my head is so full of lumps and bumps, it would be scary. Hey, Motorbomb, we're testing out the soundboard. You know, I paid $179 for that thing and used it for a little while, and I put it away. But this new system I've got, it has two different soundboards in it. And so
reconfigured it, and if it begins to get like an echo or something like that in it, you gotta let me know. Oh my gosh, yeah. My mom, she lived to be 89 years, and, she lived, here with us for 10 months in our house here when she had dementia, and that was the hardest 10 months of my life. Nobody ever wants to see their parents in that kinda condition or, uh, nothing like that. It's a horrible thing. Um, I just found it to be really difficult to be with a loved one, your mama, and to see her go. And then what happened there is after my mom was gone in a few years, my wife, she came down with dementia, and she struggled for 5 years. And, the struggle, man, I'm telling you, it was devastating to everybody. Anybody who's ever had to go through this dementia, um, that ain't the way I wanna go. I hope, that this group here, um, TX Bike, and I just hope that this group here can embrace you and give you comfort when you need it, because 'cause we've all had a tragedy in our life, and there's just times when you need that kinda comfort. Hey, Motorbomb, am I in bothering somebody else's show? I waited till noon or right at noon. I figured Mike would be probably off by then. We, uh, we talk quite a bit to our friends and neighbors about what we're doing, the time we spend with people around the world. Okay. We're gonna hang in here because I do not want to be, taking up somebody else's time. I just got a paper in the mail, if I can get it here. Let me see. Oh, man, I saw this right here. Uh, Arby's has got a golden triangle. It's a potato shaped like a triangle, and I saw them, and immediately I knew I had to have them. I've never had them before. Take a look. Take a look. Look at the golden triangle. That's a tater wedge, that's just, potatoes processed, but I knew immediately I was gonna have to have some. And over here, as you can see, the crispy chicken no, I mean, I'm sorry, crispy fish. I've been waiting for them to bring the fish sandwich back. They make one of the best big old fish sandwiches. Um, Old Mac's gonna be wrapping his lips around a fish sandwich this weekend at Arby's. Arby's gives me $100 to say that every time I use the word Arby. Where's the word Arby? Every time I use the word Arby up here, $100, cha-ching. Arby's, 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 ching, 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 chingy. Oh, don't you know what you love to have a channel that you are sponsored by Arby's. Where's the beef? No, that's Burger King. Oh man. Or how about being sponsored by Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola. Oh, that's not Wendy's? No, that's Arby's. Yeah, oh, yeah, Wendy's has got the beef, right? Yeah, this is Arby's. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, these people send these things out, and I'm addicted to food. Oh, I mean, I've got to. I mean, there's sandwiches on here I haven't tried yet, and I will be probably giving them a try this weekend. She wanted to go today, but um, no, I wanted to fool around with my computer stuff to get my control board. I don't know if I can raise this up where you can see it. Probably going to be hard to do. Now, it's going to be upside down. My control board, as you can see, it's upside down. But I had some issues with my audio card, and I kept getting feedback and echoes and stuff I couldn't stand. The withdrawal symptoms. I know. I was laying over there in bed last night. I just got into bed, and I was thinking about breakfast already. And I got up this morning. We had pancakes for breakfast. Ah, this is real genuine spring waters. Says come out of a faucet in the backyard in in somewhere in Arkansas. I can't make out the little town in Arkansas. Bottled individually by Leroy T. Jackson in Ozark, Arkansas. Every bottle, I love his stuff. It's you know it's good. It's right out of the fountain, right out of the. They caught it in a green hose pipe. You know, Norway. I watch a show. I watch a TV show. A man and his wife has a hydraulic. It's a big machine shop, and it's he's always crushing stuff with the press and blowing things up. And him and his wife came down from Norway last year, 2025, came all the way down to Florida, flew down, rented a car, and drove all the way over to Texas. They got to see America down here. Hydraulic press channel. Yep. Oh, is that Finland? I thought it was Norway. Oh, well, it could be. It's in that area. Well, I work with a guy. We call him the Fabulous Finlander, and his name was Roger Grenlin. And Roger and I, we were best friends, buddy. Um, we just done everything together. We went everywhere. I mean, we were working for the government, and they took his driver's license away from him, so I had to chauffeur him. He was my senior officer. He got busted, and I had to be his driver. And me and old Roger, the Fabulous Finlander. Oh, he was married to a beautiful woman. She was a school teacher. I think he ended up going to Fishtown, Montana. That's where he retired. Yeah, that I love it. Yeah, he does. He has a, I watched him and his lady friend get in the hot tub up there, and they cut a hole in the ice, and they got into the ice, and both of them, and they just had like he had this little old trunks on, and she had a little, I think, a two piece, and they got in this, went down through this 3 feet of ice or whatever, and got in that water and got out and went over there. Yeah, and went over and got in the back into the sauna. Um, and in a hot tub. Oh, or maybe they got in the hot tub and then they got in the water. I don't remember, but oh my god, I was thinking of getting that cold water. I mean, that'd be a breathtaker. The artesian water. Yeah, I know. They can sell us anything. I'm telling you. Um, we, you remember we were seeing a couple of years ago a horrible draft. It was they hadn't had any rain in like 10 years, and they was way behind. And fires were all over California, and the whole West was burning up. And we went to Walmart and we bought water at Walmart, and the water came from Sacramento, California. And I'm thinking, my God, all the millions of gallons of water they pump out and sell at Walmart, and it was bottled in somewhere around Sacramento, California. This might be this is Walmart water. Let me see, where's it coming from? It's in that little blue looking right, and I can't read. But we quit drinking the water from we quit drinking the Arkansas water until they started coming out with this new water. It's purified water, where they boil it and process it and add vitamins and it said, yeah, enriched minerals. It They can sell us anything. Us, the consumers, you put it on the TV, we're going to buy it. Yeah, there's some good water. We usually buy the uh, purified water, the water that's been boiled and then add minerals, and so you have taste of the water. We used to drink Niagara, and then we changed from Niagara to uh, now I see we're drinking Walmart water again. So I won't tell you, we're funny human beings. We complain about gas being $2 a gallon, and yet we'll pay $1 for a bottle of water. My son and I, we built a brand new airplane. The military, we built it for the military. It's called the B-2 bomber. Northrop was uh, they were the contract holders, but our company did all the composite material because we are the leading company in the world for making graphite composite material. And so we did all of the graphite that's on the B-2 bomber. And so they brought it, the first one they built, we call it the Spirit of Seattle. And we went to the rollout of the Spirit of Seattle when they assembled it down in California, Palmdale, I believe, or somewhere down in California, and they flew it to Seattle for thousands of us to come out and see the B-2 bomber, the Spirit, the flying wing. And we stood in line for hours waiting for that thing to come. And finally, we were so thirsty. I said, "Son, go over and buy us a bottle of water." And so I gave him like $5 to go buy us some water. I figured he'd get us 2 or 3 bottles of water. The water was $6 a bottle, $6 a bottle. He came back and he said, "You owe me." Uh, but when you're thirsty, you'll pay anything. Who would think you'd buy water in a bottle, Moto? It's just, here's the deal. Right here next door, my neighbors have got a well, and they got a deep well. And as soon as they run water out from the city, they brought what everybody had well. My well was right here, 400 feet from the house. My well was down there 400 feet. Um, so that was a part of that 7 acres down there by the river. It was up on a hillside, and deep well, very deep well. A big, the kind that you could turn and you drop a bucket down in the well and then you turn a windlass and the bucket would come up and you would have your bucket of water. It wasn't one of them little bitty wells. It was like 4 or 5 foot in diameter, maybe 6 foot in diameter. Well, their well over here is only about, from where I'm sitting here, it's only like 300 feet over there to their well. And the water was, I mean, so I've drank a lot of water out of it. Then they come out here when they brought the city water out, got it all established, got all the lines in. They condemned it as well, said it wasn't fit to drink. It is so odd that he had his own well and they condemned it, that everybody been drinking out it for over 50, 60 years out here. And they condemned it because they wanted to sell that city water. Hey, look at Robin there. Hey, there's Robin. Let's give him a double. Yeah, because he gave me the like button. He gave me the big thumbs up. Yeah, she really wanted to go for a ride today, but I said, no, we're going to do it tomorrow because I had already made up my mind this morning. I wanted to, I like Motorbomb knows what these little panels sell for. They're pretty expensive. And it just leaned over in the closet and I said, there got to be a better way I can do this thing. See, what I'm doing now, I'm pumping my audio, my mic audio back into the soundboard. And the problem I had before was the echo and stuff of that nature. But I've done some redoing. If this works out, I will be able to keep my little sound effects and stuff in here and just have some fun. Yeah, buddy. Yep. Oh, well, it's a beautiful day out there today. Yesterday, when we was doing a live over at Walmart, I was sitting there doing a live, and you could see it was just stuff building up. We got home. I wish I'd have took a picture of it. First thing it did, as soon as we got home, it started hailing. Oh, quarter size hail. It was hitting. I got my carport out there's got a metal roof, and it was hitting there and bouncing over onto the windows on the house. And boy, it was loud. And so I opened the back door, and the whole back deck was covered in pea-size hail, a little bitty one. But every once in a while, you see the big ones like the size of a quarter. And boy, they make some noise when they hit the metal roof. Yeah, we was looking at that tunnel that you ride in. I was telling Angelique, we was watching you ride the other day through the tunnel, and I told her that it went under the Chesapeake Bay. And then I took her over on a map of, I used to live in the village of Canton, 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 Missouri, which is right on the Chesapeake Bay. And up on the third floor, we had a living space up there. In other words, there was lounge chairs and a barbecue grill and stuff, and we'd go up there, and you could look straight across to Fort McHenry from our house, and you could hear when they would play Retreat or Reveille or any of that stuff. You could hear it across the water. Oh, that would be really Motobomb. There's a challenge for you. You that sound, when you gear down or when you let off your exhaust. If you could capture that sound, you got a camera back there by your exhaust system, and take a little sound snippet, of just that sound and put it on your soundboard. Yeah, it's got to. I got to record. I could record stuff on the soundboard, but I'd have to be smart enough to know how to do it. I don't have the book anymore. You know me. I don't ever read a book, and when I got it, I threw it in the trash can. I, if I have to read a book, I mean, it must be really complicated. But I should have read the book. Oh, so loud. Well, thank you, buddy, for coming by. I live out in the woods too. Oh, I've had a couple of guys to come visit me on the bikes, and I'm gonna tell you, well, one of them that come to see me, he's now laying over there all crippled up. That was Key Fob. He sat right over there, right where those blanket is, right there. And what a what a wonderful moment. He drove all the way from nearly down to Savannah, Georgia, all the way to see me over here, and he had no motive for visiting other than just to come and see old Mac. You know what I'm saying? That was wonderful. Just spent the day with me, um, me and Angelique. Yep, we got to get him back on his feet. As soon as he gets a little bit better, I'm gonna go see him. Whether if he goes back down to Florida or stays over in Georgia, we're gonna go see him. I gotta wait to where I know he's gonna be ready for a visitor. I don't wanna, um, bother him when he's going through a lot of exercise and stuff because 'cause he's got a lot of therapy and things he's gonna have to do to get himself back on the track, and the Peterbilt, um, trucking company, I used to work right across the road from Peterbilt. That's called East Marginal Way. East Marginal Way goes right by Peterbilt. The company is called PACCAR, Pacific Car and Foundry. They were the original company, and then, uh, Kenworth and Peterbilt started being built down there, and there's factories all over the world, but the factory from Seattle was right across. I used to work in you've seen my picture on the wall up there. I used to work in the experimental center, and you could go over to the door and look out, and you could see Peterbilt, pack car, and right next door to it was one of the best taverns ever. My brother-in-law, Joyce's husband, Motobomb, is retired. He's retired from PACCAR. He also retired from Boeing. After he retired from PACCAR, he worked at Boeing and got his 20 plus years in at Boeing. Yeah, Pacific Car and Foundry. Yeah, there's factories. There's Australian factories. Yeah, they're a big company. But I know when they started out and they moved, I was at Boeing, and then when they moved in down there, they used to be in Renton. See, they used to be in the town of Renton, Washington, and they moved over to East Marginal Way, just across the hump. There's a ridge that divides Seattle from Renton, and we call that the Empire District. It's a ridge, and so when they came over the hump, got on East Marginal Way, they really expanded. Kenny Mex, how about that? Kenny Mex. Oh, truckers, man, they got a name for everything. I watched Murphy's Diesel out of Arizona, and last night he went to Colorado and bought a 97, I think it was 1997, or it could have been 87. It was a Mack truck that was on 50, 53-inch tires, 53-inch. Oh, huge. Six-wheel steering, all six, three wheels on each side, all-wheel steering. If you get a chance, uh, go over and watch Murphy's Diesel, the thing where he went up and bought the Mack truck. Now they're going to drive it. They're going to drive it from Colorado back down to Arizona, and he's sending his family. His family was with him, and he's sending his family by jet plane from Denver back down to Arizona. And him and his daughter is going to drive that six-wheel Mack back to. I think it's got an old. You remember those silver 92? You remember the Detroit engine? Oh man, I love that V8 892 they call it, and we used to call it the Silver Eagle. The 892 has got the best sound. Big old, I think it's a big old two-stroke diesel V8, and well, to me, you're more popular than I am because you're on Old Mac channel, and I admire everybody that comes to my channel. All right, okay, okay. Here we go. I see. Here is this one right here is for TX Viking. There you go. Thank you. I pay my guests when they come. Here's one for you and one for Motorbomb there. So you guys, y'all get a beer on me. So there you go. Y'all enjoy a beer on Old Mac. Old Mac money. I don't have any more left. I started to say I got Old Mac money right here, but all my Old Mac money is gone. Yep. All my Old Mac money is, I don't have any of it left. I got some on my Harley. You know what I do? I keep a bundle of Old Mac money on my Harley. And if anybody comes over and engages me in conversation while I'm in the parking lot, I always give them Old Mac money. They seem, I mean, no, they're there to visit me because of the bike. Now, if they just want to know directions or something like that, no. But if you come over and talk to me about bikes of any kind, um, we will give you Old Mac money. And this is for the whole. This is to get you people in line. Was that a good slap? Oh man, let's get you on the move. My brother-in-law, he bought a new Peterbilt truck and he signed on with Mellon Transport, and he was hauling steel at first. And then Mellon wanted him to get a reefer, so he went out and bought a brand new reefer. And he was up there on I I-80, I believe it is, up in Iowa, at one of the biggest truck stops. And he was laying in there asleep in his sleeper, and somebody started beating on his window. And when he pulled the curtain back, to look out and see why he was beating on the window, he could see nothing but fire everywhere. He said, "Oh hell, somebody's on fire!" So he hops down. He was in the sleeper in the bed, so he hopped down. He's got his skivvies on, and he hopped down on the ground, and he sees the fire is over there next to him. A truck is on fire. But before you know it, he's on fire. His tires are on fire over there, and he crawls back up in the truck to get his britches on. That's where he had his wallet and ID, and he had to get his little briefcase where he carries all of his paperwork, his travel documents, and all that stuff. And they was yelling at him, "Get out!" And then all of a sudden, them tires blew, boom, and blowed him out on the ground. He was holding on to his briefcase, and then of course the truck leaned over when it did. It caught his reefer unit was on fire because it was running and has a plastic housing over it, and it all caught on fire. 3 trucks burnt to the ground, burned them all the way down. He was paying $7,000 a month for buying them for the his payment on those things. 7,000 a month, completely wiped out. His reefer unit, his truck, everything. So he drove one of their rigs for a little while, and he finally retired off the road. I know it was devastating. And his other brother started an import business in Dallas Fort Worth of renting and leasing to you exotic cars. In other words, you come to Dallas Fort Worth and you want to spend a month there, you could do it in a very expensive Italian car or a really expensive German car. You know, oh, he had every kind you can imagine, high dollar cars, and there was a hailstorm that had golf ball size hail. His whole fleet of cars were out there, Porsches, Lamborghinis, all that stuff. I mean, millions of dollars worth of cars just beat the hell and back. Them boys had some tragedies. Planes, trains, and automobiles. That was a good movie. They've got a service. See, we get beat up here in Alabama a lot. They got a service in Cullman. That's where our county seat is. It's about 26 miles from me. Um, they set up an operation up there. This company came in that has this process of removing dimples. And I mean they do a really good job of it. And they, I don't know how expensive it is, but I know that my friend went and bought a new GMC truck that was hail damaged, and he got it for, I mean, it was a new one, but he got it at a really good price at the GMC dealership. Um, yeah, he got it. He bought it just as is. He used it on the farm out there, but it was a really good truck. He drove it over to my house. I mean, it was a little bit dimpled. It was a little bit beat up, but it run good. He was a retired airline captain. He put 45 years in aviation, and me and him had some good years. He built an airport. He bought his own airplane. Me and him was going to fly everywhere. I built a runway down here. I have a runway down here, and I built it to his standards, so he could fly over to pick me up. And he got everything all ready, and then he passed away. So, um, and his kids was not interested in aviation. They sold all of his airplanes and stuff. But yeah, we had some big plans. We were going to go everywhere. We're going to hop across the country. I think he had like a 400 mile range. He could fly 300 or 400 miles and then fuel up. And hey, Mark, we just testing out equipment. Um, in those days when maybe you may be overindulged, you might sound a little bit different.
If you feel like you want to embrace your feminine side, well, here it is. And see, it makes you sound so much more tender.
Yeah, we're playing with our soundboard. I'm not using I'm not using a headset. I got one right here. There's a headset right here. Um, because I've had ear surgery, and my eardrum is just now stitched itself back together. I've had 2 surgeries inside my ear. I don't wanna do that shit again. Them earphones are just not healthy for your ears. Not when you got a real bad eardrum. Uh, some people say it might be because my pistol my pistol shoots big shells, big rounds like this, and when it goes off, when you shoot your pistol, they say that might have damaged my eardrums. I don't know. It might be just a rumor. Oh, I got so much. I got a lot of ammo laying over here. Here's a 50 cal right here. Look. This is a round from a Mall Deuce. This from a 50 cal. You can see the difference between that little baby. That's the little baby here, the little 50 cal, and my 30 millimeter. That one right there puts a big dent in it. Whatever you shoot, it puts a big dent in it. Yeah, my pistol. I got a pistol laying over there that it shoots a 50 cal. It shoots a 50 cal round, and it is fun to shoot. It jars the hell out of you. I'm sorry, buddy. I uh, I know you're working and trying to make a living. Not trying to make a living. You're good at that kind of stuff. You're not struggling. I mean, you got people that count on you for your expertise in your line of work that you do. If I was to ever get a tattoo, ever, I would go to Motorbomb, Virginia. Oh yeah, yeah. I used to have over there. It's illegal to have them. You can't have them anymore. Long time ago, I used to have a belt fired a Belgium gun made in Belgium, and that thing I got it. It was in the war in the Falkland Islands. It was the weapon was a British piece, and it went to war in the Falkland Islands, And through some dealing, I was able to get the gun, and I had it. But what I loved about the gun, it had on the end of the barrel, you could adjust the recoil on the end of the barrel. It had 9 settings, and if you let it shoot the maximum range on the gun, see, every time you change it, it reduces the distance you can shoot because it takes out the velocity by blowing it out the side. Um, so you could dial it back to where a little old kid shoot it like shooting a 22 rifle, but you only had like 300 yards of range when you got it down to where it didn't have any kick. And but I used to leave it up on the high kick. It was a 308 caliber. It's 7.62 by I don't know 58 or whatever it was. It was a big caliber at 308, and people would come over and I would flip the selector switch on it and it would just knock them all over the yard. I got one of my sister, you ought to see her. My sister was shooting her head was going, but she can't shoot anymore. She's got a heart defibrillator, and the concussion from the guns affected. She can't shoot anymore. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You had chokes in the old days, and had on shotguns. You could reach way out there with the range, or you could choke them down, and yeah, you could choke them down and get some range out of them. Or yeah, they were. A guy gave me a double barrel 10 gauge. I was in Moses Lake, Washington, and it's got 2 triggers, and they're sort of offset. But if you curl your fingers around like this, kind of curl them around. So after numerous beers, I decided I would shoot both barrels at one time. It was a Star brand, which is low. It's Spanish made, really low on the totem pole as far as quality is concerned. But it must have been built good because I shot both barrels. Oh yeah. Um, when we was kids, I think one of my favorite guns I had a 16 gauge and 14 gauge barrel, one above the other. Big barrel at the top was 16 gauge, down below it was 410. And that was a nice weapon. Then we had one time, I believe, a 410 and 22. 410 was at the top, 22 at the bottom. We've had a lot of different combinations of different kinds of guns, for shooting, making, shooting tin cans or bird shooting. I don't know. I'm sure. Oh, that's a hell of a caliber. Now, if you shoot them 10 gauges of double buckshot, my God, the velocity on them things are awesome. No, I remember a motor getting these air rifles that you pumped up the 177 caliber, .177, and you would pump them things up, and you could shoot through a can. You could shoot through a tin can. In fact, that in the old days, tin cans were really strong. Oh, you had 22 on maybe I was, I'm 80, almost 86 years old. What the hell do I remember? I just remember one barrel was above the other, and I liked the gun. It shot really good. Um, Somebody had me a 410, a 410, a pistol, single shot 410 pistol. It was like a Derringer, and you put the little 410 in there. I never did shoot it, and I didn't buy it. They had it for sale. Oh, ain't that something? I just hate it. I had one time a four-wheel drive truck, that had 40-inch tires on it. They were called Super Swampers, 44-inch, not 40, 44-inch. Oh, and it was turbocharged. The engine was turbocharged, 44-inch tires all the way around, and it was an awesome truck. We'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on accessories for the thing, but it got broke into, and they stole. I'm a ham radio operator, and it stole a ham radio out of my truck. About a $700 unit. They took the ham radio out, and I just couldn't even sit in the truck after that, knowing that a thief, he had to get up in the truck because it was too tall off the ground from him to reach in and take it out where it was mounted. He had to get into the truck, and knowing that a piece of scum was in my truck, I took it down and I traded it off. Um, I had the engine special built engine. It wasn't one of them deals where I added a turbocharger or nothing like that. It was a case where I had it built for the turbocharger, and yeah, everything was built just for that. I had a guy named Jim Kenfield. They called him Mr. Corvette. He was the best Chevrolet man in that whole area of the Pacific Northwest, and he built my engine from the ground up. I made a couple of trips in it going down the road with factory disc on it. I had factory disc on the truck. Going down the road at 80 miles per hour, you can push that pedal all the way down and it would just, and it would slow you down. There just was not enough of brakes on that truck to stop them big old wheels. You get them big old 44s turning. These were Dick CPAC tires, 44-inch Dick CPAC. Um, I don't know if you've even heard of that guy. Dick CPAC was a off-roader, and it had his initials all the way around the outside of the wheels. They're the Super Swamper designed Dick CPAC tires, and boy, they made so much noise on the road when you was riding, but anyhow, I hated to get rid of that truck, but I only got rid of it just because I just could not stand having a thief in my truck, a piece of scum that was still from another human being. Yeah, you work hard, and well, the kind of work we did was not hard. But what I'm saying, you committed yourself on the job, and you done your job as required, but it required lots of hours in the day. And you take that money they give you and go buy yourself a nice radio or whatever for your truck and have a piece of low life and scum steal your radio. Ugh, it makes me really, really mad. Oh, I got to do a little bit of everything. Um, I had a vivid imagination when I was a kid, and I've got to live those imaginations. In other words, I would conjure up things in my head, and before it made my time went from where I dreamed of it and thought of it to now, I got to see it come true. The things that picture hanging on my walls that I'm looking at here. Those are things that I got to do for real. I was there. Um, the moon stuff, all that stuff. I was there in '69 when we landed on the moon. There, oh, we had so much of my products and stuff that we had a hand in that I was really proud of it. That's the reason they gave me the big. I got a huge. It must be 40 something inches wide and 3 foot tall or whatever. And this was loaded full of my old memories. I didn't do the picture. They did it. The company did. I can't turn my camera around. I'd show you, but it's a wall of memories. So I can edit what I'm saying. I'm not clear or oh, you mean take out what I'm saying? Um, I well, 1940, the war, World War II had not started. It was it was really good times to be born then. Um, we didn't have real genuine record players. We had Victrolas. We didn't have a record player. We had a Victrola. And my mama and daddy, all coal mining people do this every weekend. They partied. My mom was a good cook, and people would come to our house and they'd all bring a dish or whatever. And my job during the party was to keep the Victrola running. You had a crank on the side and you turned the crank. And then over here on the turntable, you had a little cup that had needles in it. And when you'd change a record, and if you heard anything in it, you could just turn that little screw and pull the needle out and put you another needle in. And my job, and I knew I had to keep the needle sharp, but I had a cup in there, and the bottom of the cabinet was all your records all lined up, the old 78s, and you would reach in there and get a "Your cheating heart will tell on you." That's all they ever want to listen to. Don't come up here if any of that orchestra music, that old Von Monroe and the Little Brown Jug or none of that stuff. We ain't into that. We're into the Grand Ole Opry. Opry. You got to have the Opry. So my job was to keep them entertained. They'd be pouring the Wildcat out of the bottle. That's what our family drank, Wildcat. It was They didn't use the word moonshine. They didn't use the word white lightning. It was called Wildcat. And they don't put no mixer. But always at our house, we always had lots of sweet tea and lots of cornbread. Yeah, we had our coal stove up above the coal stove was these warming ovens, and you could always find on the right hand side cornbread, on the left hand side biscuits. My mama made biscuits usually 2 times a day, in the morning and then in the afternoon. My daddy liked gravy, and he liked to take the biscuits and sop up the gravy with the biscuits. So, um, yep. Yeah, my dad used to make, corn whiskey. He would have a 55-gallon drum full of corn, and he would sprout the corn. He'd put water in it and make the corn sprout, and, yeah, he made some really my daddy always used copper. My daddy on the cap, where you got a boiler and you got up on the top, you got a cap. It was a oak wooden uh, cap. When the steam get to it, and he had a mixture of flour and some other stuff like a paste he put around it, and then he put his plug in, and that steam would swell that wood up, and no steam would leak or nothing. But the reason they did this, if you got too much pressure, it would blow the top of the cap out and not scald you. In other words, it would when it reached a certain amount of pressure, it would blow the wooden plug out, and you didn't blow your pot up. And when Daddy was making whiskey, all my brothers played a role in it. We all had to carry supplies in for the whiskey. When you set up your beer before you start cooking off your mash, um, there was a lot of things had to be done, and we did it. My daddy had a technique. He would strike a match over the top of his mash, and that mash, if he seen that flame flickering, if the flame was flickering, he could read that match. He knew how much stuff was coming up off the mash. That means it was still working. And you wanted to get it where if that match didn't flicker, it was ready to start cooking. When you got your yeast and your mash and your sugar and stuff, there's a lot of fermentation going on. There's a lot of bubbles and a lot of gas expelling. That was so good. I want to tell you a little story about chickens. My uncle, there was a lady that was at the VFW club, and she was a lady everybody knew, but she was my uncle's sweetheart on the side. And but he would save up eggs every time he'd go out to the chicken coop. He'd have hide back 2 or 3 of the eggs. When he got a couple of dozen eggs together, he'd go down to the VFW club, and her name was Christine, and he would 2 dozen eggs would get you a delightful afternoon with Christine. And so my aunt, she finds out about his little caper, and she got all the eggs in a pair of nylon hose. Women don't wear them anymore, but in the old days they wore hose, and she put them eggs in this hose. And when he came into the house, she hit him with that stocking full of eggs. Back in them days, things were a little bit different. Oh, yeah, that's right. During the war, the miners would go on a strike, and the government, the federal agents would come out and force them to go back in the mines, or um, they would bust the strike and all that kind of stuff, and they'd come out and force them back into the mines. Well, nobody likes to work when you're being forced, and they was always when they would get laid off, they would always go back into making moonshine. Well, there's so many federal agents out, making workers go back to work and stuff, as they was always going out rounding up workers, and so they had to do their shine on the down low. They didn't talk about it. They just made it, sold it, fed the babies, kept our shoes on our feet. Yeah, that was the way they had to survive. And you hear the stories about nobody liked the revenuers. And it wasn't because the revenuers were doing their job. No, they hated them because of the dirty tactics. The revenuer, what he did, they would be making whiskey inside of a coal mines because you got running water in the coal mines, and all you need the running water for is to run over your coils and stuff, just so you'd have water to cool your for the condensation. Your coils has to have water percolating on them, and you had to have circulating water. And they would the revenuers, instead of going back in under the ground for a mile or so, they would just simply blow the mouth of the mines in. 6 or 7 guys up in there making whiskey in a still, they would just blow the mines in, it would cave in, and they miners knew how to get out of any situation. They would find them a mining shaft somewhere, an air shaft, and go out it, but and it didn't always work out. I mean, it killed people. That's the reason they hate the revenuers because they were so evil uh, in their job that they did. But anyhow, that was the days. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff ourselves. That was back when we was kids. Oh yeah, the haulers, the people that haul the whiskey, they got some stories to tell. You know, you can make a lot of whiskey, but if you don't have a way of distributing, you make it right here, but it might be 30 to 60 miles or 100 miles where the market is at, and you got to load it up and get it to that market without getting caught. And you're going to have a car to run, and them boys knew how to make cars run. Oh yeah, I mean, the part I remember about probation is when it was over, when it ended. Oh my gosh, that put a lot of the family out of work because then you could go to the state liquor store and buy your liquor, and you didn't need the moonshiner. You know, it just put everybody out of work. All those, uh, yeah, they was ruthless. Uh, just hardworking people making they wasn't making millions of dollars off their liquor. They only got a few dollars for every gallon, and they bought them in 5-gallon cans for $5, dollar a gallon for 5 gallons of moonshine. And so it wasn't like they was just getting rich and nothing like that, but it did keep the family fed. But miners, you got to keep in mind, miners was not afraid of anything, and they didn't mind going back in the deep mines, and they would pump up the burners were operated off gasoline. You had these long burners, and you'd pump up the tank, and it would light you'd light the gasoline over, and but you had to have good ventilation, so you'd have to be somewhere near a shaft, an air shaft, so you'd have draft. So the carbon monoxide would go up there and not kill you. Yeah, when you pump up them tanks and you get the flame going and everything, um, you really have to have a good a flow of air, um, because you would go down pretty quick if you got yourself up into a room, inside the mines that was a pretty confined area. You could get down on the carbon monoxide pretty fast. So you always had to have circulating air. When we was kids, we could run through the mines. We could literally run through the mines, through the swags inside. The mines goes up and down the seam, however the seam is, and then those swags, the water would be 4 foot deep in the swag, 3 or 4 foot deep. Uh, this is an abandoned mine shaft where they didn't make their whiskey. They didn't make it in a operational mines. It'd be some old mines that had been abandoned for a few years, and the swags would have 3 or 4 foot of water in them, and you would have to run through that water. And Daddy'd tell you go down and get something, and you're a mile underground, and you'd have to run and make sure you didn't raise your head because them beams are just above your head. There, you raise up, hit your forehead, peel your scalp back. uh, uh, Oh my God, that fishing that up in Seattle, they pay really good money if you get on a boat and you go up in the Alaskan waterways up there, go up there and crab in and stuff. A lot of guys don't come back. I mean, they lose. That water's pretty violent up there, and if you go over, the water's always cold up in the Northwest, and if you do go over, you don't last long in that water. Oh, West Virginia, yeah, it's sad. I don't know how long it's been since you've been there, but I took my sisters, both of my sisters, up to Beckley, and then up in West Virginia. I took them to Beckley and Leawood. I took them. We went over to Gurley Falls. Gurley Falls, big, huge falls over there. I was a drone pilot, so I would go places where I could fly my drone. Then over on the Beckley, we went on US 19 down there to the New River, to that big bridge they built down there, 700-foot high. People skydive. These people jump off in it, free jump. They jump off and then pull their parachute and land in the New River down there. My sister and we went down and I flew my drone from down there under the bridge, and that was beautiful down there. Yeah, he fled the coal mines and went into war and found out war was hell. Yeah, all my family, they all went in the army. Of course, when the war broke out, most of them left the mines and went into the army. Um, I think it was really good for me. I got a discharge on the wall over there. That I do a show occasionally when I had a I used to have a camera on this. My camera used to set on this tripod over there, and then I could move the tripod around, and people could see things I wanted to point out. But I got it stationary on the up there on the monitor now. I should have it down lower, but I ain't gonna worry about it. Oh yeah, I had a brother to be killed by drowning. He was in a army amphibious duck. He was a driver of amphibious duck. He was down inside. You sit way down in here, and he had a crew, a squad of 8 men back here, and he had there was 3 guys that was in the driving compartment. He was the driver, and then he had these other 2 guys that did various things down there. Um, and I thought about him suffocating. He drowned it in 50 feet of water. He was an excellent swimmer. He It was just hard to imagine him. I know. I'm thinking of this. He held his breath so long. I can just see his pulse coming out. Uh, he could hold his breath a long time, but it's more than he can hold. Can you imagine that first breath he had to take in full of water? Ugh. Yeah, I'm getting you. You can. Yeah, do that. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll have another Coke. Um, she's negotiating my lunch for me. Well, I've been on here an hour and 14 minutes. This was just a test. Um, it was hard. I'm going to tell you. After my brother was killed, then I become of age, being able. I wanted to see. I went to a military school, and all them years in the military school, my life was going to be. See, I had 3 of my children made full retirement. One of them, one of them got blowed up in and Fallujah in Iraq. But he's all right. He got a good medical retirement. But the other boys, one got 22 years in. He was in the Army. He spent most all of his time in the 101st Airborne. And since I was military trained at the academy, I couldn't wait for my time. So I put a lot of pressure on my mother, and my mother would not allow me to go into the Army because she had not gotten over the death of her son. And so I asked her, I convinced her to let me get in the National Guard. I'd be able to stay at home and all that stuff. Well, they had what they call a 2-year plan. You join the National Guard and you go do your duty. You have to go into the Army, directly into the Army, and get your basic training and your tactical training and stuff like this. And then you come back and you finish the rest of the time going your weekend warrior. And my mother, when she realized after she had signed the papers that I was heading off to the Army, oh, she had a hissy fit. I ain't kidding you, because she kind of felt like I deceived her, but I didn't plan it that way. I truly did not know that I'd have to be deployed almost immediately, but I should have read the fine print. But I didn't care because I was military trained. And then, as everybody knows on here, I spent the rest of my life in the military. I spent all those years as an Air Force base. I stayed 22 years with Strategic Air Command. Strategic Air Command is where all your intercontinental ballistic missiles were loaded in B-36s and B-52s, and they'd fly around the world 24/7. There was always planes in the air. And then we started putting we sort of started deploying these ICBMs. Thank you very much, Carrie. I really appreciate that. But we're just we're just typical families. That's all. None of us are special. Um, they don't even know my brother. I do. Every once in a while, I do a video of my brother because I don't want him to go out of my memory ever. So anyhow, today got my panel hooked back up, and if it's worked good today, if it's worked good, we're going to say that let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Hey, let's cheer old Mac. I hope it came through. I don't know. Uh, anybody that don't like that, I'll give them a big on the butt. Uh, oh, good. I'm glad it worked. I just got it out of the closet and I said, I am going to make this thing work. And I reconfigured. I've got this. See, I got two computers. I had originally bought it for that computer over there. And that computer over there it's a 2025 model. It was made in 2025. I had that one built over there. It has an Asus case, but it's got all different kind of components in it. But this one is a factory built one that has whole lot more stuff in it. It's got two sound cards in it. It's a gaming machine. Both of them will do games, and both of them are. This is a i7 version 13, I believe. 13 or 14. It's one of the newest i7s. That's an i7, but it's 11, like i7 11, and this is the later one. But this one has the two sound cards in it. the reason being they did that, they've got a sound card that came. It's not on the motherboard. It's they're separate sound cards. I don't know why. As a gamer, supposedly you can use it while the game is running. You can use the other sound card to record or do something other with it. It's got a lot of ports on it. So I switched everything around, and I just hope it keeps working. As long as it's working, I'm going to use it because it's fun to play with. Let me see, what's this third voice? I have no clue what we're going to.
Now, right here, I don't know. I got to read a book on it, see what that third button there does. It does something. It might be really bad. I don't know. Maybe it's got a fourth button.
Hello, hello. I don't know what that one does either. I probably sound like a goober for sure.
See, when I got my headset on, I can hear that. It feeds back through the headset, and I can. But I'm not wearing a headset, so there's no way I can hear what is going on. Oh, go ride! I'm gonna tell you, we're riding tomorrow. I really today wanted to go to Philadelphia, Mississippi. Um, we usually go every year in the spring to Philadelphia. And the reason we go to Philadelphia, we usually go over and buy bacon. We drive, it's a 400-mile trip, 200 over and 200 back, a 400-mile trip. And we usually go buy bacon in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The bacon is raised right there on the river. The bacon is processed right there on the river. The bacon is cured right there on the river. And then it's brought over, and they got two working stations slicing bacon all day long. And you come in the front door, and the first thing you see is these two men slicing bacon, big thick bacon with the rind. It has the rind on the bacon, and I eat the bacon, save all the rinds, and my dog, oh hell, he goes crazy over my bacon rinds. He I'll give him them bacon rinds, and buddy, he'll eat them things, and he just loves them. So we are gonna go over. We might do it tomorrow. The weather's gonna be like 79 degrees tomorrow, so um, and it feels so nice. I'm sitting here. There's no heat in the house or nothing. There's not a heater on anywhere. We didn't have no heat on last night. It is a wonderful period of time to be in right now. The only danger with the warmer weather, of course, is the hurricanes of the tornadoes that can come. And we had last night a little taste of bad weather. Nobody that I know of was hurt anywhere, but she was huffing and a puffing. And this old house I live in was built in 1972, and it's a wooden house. And she's survived so many. I've had tornadoes to knock 4-foot holes in my ceiling and my roof up there. Now I've got all new roof and all metal put on, and it survived some pretty serious storms. American Uncensored. Doggone it! I wish I had one of your mugs full of beer. I bought I bought from American Uncensored one of the 20-ounce mugs. And man, I tell you, you feel, and what I love about it, I've got a pretty good sized hand. It's an old hand, but you reach your hand, all these fingers inside the handle to drink your coffee with, and and I like that about them cups. Got big old handles on them. You guys ought to check out American Uncensored's merch on his store page. He's got some good stuff. I bought the whole package. I got the little bit of everything in a big package. I got the shirt, and Yeah, right here's what we are to do. Here's what we are to do right now with this. Let me see if I can get it lined up correctly. Yeah, right here. Here's how we do it. With this hair of mine, keep the hair on my eyes. Yeah, I'll hold it. Oh, back around this way. I have to get it on straight. Let me make sure I got it. Here it is. Here it is. Get it on straight. Yeah, I look better now. Ah, wah, 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 wah. I look like I'm ready to. Everything in here is backwards. On YouTube, everything is backwards. There we go. Pat my hair into place. A little bit around this way, a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, go over to American Uncensored. You can get you one of these nifty, nifty headbands, and a lot of people say, "Here's what you ought to do with that headband, old Mac. It'd sound a lot better if you did it like this." uh, we're going to have some fun. All right, let me show y'all folks here. Let me show you folks what Old Mac is going to be. Old Mac is Southern to the bone. We ain't no pretenses here of Old Mac. Let's set it right over there, honey. If we can get our bowl up here. All right, I guess we can't do it that way. We'll have to do it like this. Get off. That, ladies and gentlemen, is butter beans. I got a big bowl of butter beans. She's been cooking butter beans in there. Ooh, that girl knows how to cook them butter beans. Let me see if I can get it over here so you folks can see my butter beans. That poor little old girl, she's been cooking them butter beans all day long. Look at that. I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. Focus. The damn camera. So sorry it won't focus. Look at that. Sorry, camera. There we go. Almost. Yeah. What? Sorry, camera. I'm gonna get me a good camera pretty soon. Okay. Okay, folks. The only reason I'd ever leave a great crowd like this is when there's a big I should have had this drink in American Uncensored, his big cup. Well, let me say 2-4. Oh my God, I ain't going to leave here until I say hello to 2-4. There's 2-4 all up in here. Let me see what we can do here. This is where's the applause at? I don't know where the applause button is. We got an applause button there somewhere. Anyhow, maybe we'll give him just a good welcome. Yay. We're going to eat lunch. Here's what we're going to have in our butter beans, saltine crackers. Normally we do cornbread, but we changed our mind. I remember I mentioned about going to Philadelphia, and then it dawned on me I was going to hook up the board to get the board out of the closet. I got the board hooked up. So we didn't even plan on eating lunch here at the house. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, I realized I'm going to stay at home. So now we got butter beans and ham hocks. Oh, look at that. You might be able to see, look at that steam coming up there, folks. That this has come, this bowl of butter beans come right out of the pot. Ooh, look at that. I'm starting to slobber already. This is what poor people eat, and I love it. Keeps me in contact with my roots. We've been on here for an hour and a half. I think I wore you folks out, but appreciate you just being here. And maybe next time I'll spruce the place up. See, there's my. That's. I already laid out. I was going to wear my camis over there to Mississippi. Anytime you ride that far, you want to make sure you look like you can handle your business. I love you guys. TX back in have a good one. 2-4 American Uncensored. So loud. So many of you guys and girls and folks that's in here today. I appreciate you. Well, you caught on like the tail end of the train as it was pulling out of the station. I'm just doing some testing, and now I got to wrap my lips around these. You can see the steam is still coming off the beans. Woo! And the little puppies are hot. There is a big, I mean, we call this Old Mack's big spoon. Old Mack's got a big mouth, so he has to fill it with a big spoon full of butter beans. Yeah, Old Mac's going to be doing some serious farting later. You wouldn't want to be stuck in a Volkswagen of Old Mac this afternoon because he's going to be like blowing the windows out. Y'all find something constructive to do, and from the bottom of my heart, me and Angelique want to wish each and every one of you a great weekend that's coming up. God bless you.